Well, here I am trying to revive two vehicles that you've probably seen before, my 1966 Catalina and my 1973 LTD Brougham. They've been sitting somewhere between a year and a half and 2 years. I should have been driving them more often, but I wasn't. And the Catalina's got an ignition problem. The LTD's got a fuel problem. You'll see on the LTD that I originally thought it was just a stuck needle and seat, but it ends up being that it was out of gas, apparently. The gas gauge was reading 1/8 of a tank, but that really was empty. So here we go along the journey, starting with the Catalina. Well, here we are trying to awaken, this is all dust, the 66 Pontiac that's probably been sitting for a year and a half. Shame on me for letting it sit this long. And I went to crank it and I let the oil pressure pump up. Usually what I do on these is I kind of crank the key until I see the oil pressure light go off. That way I know that the oil is kind of circulated throughout the engine. And then I'll spray some starting fluid in and try to crank it up. Well, no firing at all. Starter would spin the engine, but nothing more than that. So if that happens and you're spraying starting fluid in, you have an ignition problem more than likely, as long as it cranks normally, which it did. It's got good compression, hasn't jumped time, anything like that. So on these cars that have the old points, here is the old point set, and you'll see why this wasn't firing. See if I can zoom in on it. You see how much carbon there is on the points? Now you can sand these if you want, but they're pretty cheap. You just put new ones in. Here's a new set. And see, it's totally clean. So the car just wasn't firing at all. Interestingly, my dwell meter would read on that old point set, but it was not firing. So in will go the new points, and we should be good to go for at least to start up. One thing I will say is, before you put these in, it's a good thing to check to see what size Allen key. Now they make these not just with the Allen wrench, but also you can see with a standard screwdriver can fit in there to rotate them in and out. Basically, you just have to get the car running, and then you can set the point gap using a dwell meter. Unlike the Fords where you can actually set the gap, these have a little window in the distributor right there where you can put a wrench in. The Fords don't have that. They have to have that because this rotor plate kind of obstructs your vision from the points on the rubbing block. And it's a good setup that GM had. By the way, always make sure these rotors, these rotors have two kind of size. So see the square peg over here and then the round peg. Make sure that you line that up. You can put a square peg and a round hole on these, and then your rotor will be 180 degrees off. And well, the car may run, it won't run very well. I've seen people do that. I have not done it, but I have seen people do that. So make sure that you line that up with the holes where the rotor screws in. So let's see here. We should have this running in a little bit, so long as I don't have a fuel system issue now next. Hopefully I don't. We'll find out. But I definitely have a spark issue. Those points were not going to fire. Now the other thing I recommend doing before you start this back up is tighten everything on the points. The new points are here. I've got one of these points tools. It's flexible. And then you hook up your dwell meter to the coil. The red on the dwell meter goes to the negative on the coil, and then you connect the negative on the dwell meter anywhere to ground. And then crank the car, and see if you've got about 30 degrees dwell while you're cranking it. If you do, it's going to start up. If not, turn that little point screw in and out until you at least get around 22 or so to 36. You just need to get it to start up. But you can actually set the dwell just by cranking the car, which is what I've done. So it's set to 30 right now. So this should fire up when I put the rotor back on and everything back together. So we'll do that now. Now it's a little bit hard to see, but I'll show you. I'll just crank this and watch the dwell meter. See, it's roughly at about 30. All right, everything's buttoned back up. Wish me luck. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to put any starting fluid in it because I had a fair amount already. Let's see, pray. Ready? Whoa. Whoa. Instant. And what is my point gap reading? About 26, so close enough. I can tune that. All the cobwebs are flying everywhere. Not bad for not running for so long. Let it warm up. Set the gap. Choke's a little sticky. There we go. Alright. We'll set the point gap and then set the timing and air up the tires. Should be ready to go. Awesome. Alright, I checked the brake fluid. It's full, brake pressure is good. Always check that on these drum brakes with the single chamber master. And we're rolling. Let's just make sure we got forward and reverse. Yep. Look at that dust. Oh my goodness. Poor car. Should have gotten you out long ago. Look at how much dust is on the hood. Touchy brakes after sitting for a long time. There we go. We're out. Oh, it's running well. Just get it up here. All right. And she's out. Yes. Awesome. And here's the Pontiac heater control. There we go. Let's see if we got heat. Yep. Nice warm heat. All right. We'll finish setting the points and everything, but we're in pretty good shape now. We'll take it for a spin. Let's try starting it back up. Fires right back up. Oh yeah. Purring now. Look at that dust. Gotta air up this tire too. I got. Yep, it's been sitting for a while. Get all the other tires aired up. Have to air this one up. Oh yeah, nice. Well, here we are, back again. Haha. And the Catalina is running great. Oh God, what a great car. So smooth, so beautiful, so effortless. Look at the wheel in the sunlight here. Well, I'll have to drive this car around more. Love the turquoise interior too. So satisfying to get one back on the road. Now I gotta work on the 73 LTD because I think that's a fuel problem. My guess is the carburetor needle is sticking. It fires on starting fluid, but it only runs for about a second. So that one's next, but the Pontiac is fixed. Everything works great. Transmission shifts great. Brakes are great. Just a sublime drive. These are my favorite, these mid-60s Pontiacs, as well as the kind of 67, 68 Fords and Mercurys. Really the pinnacle of automotive style coupled with driving. Look how much dirt is on that hood. No matter. this car too. It's great. All right, well, on to fix more stuff. The Catalina is good to go. Okay, so now on to the LTD. Now that the Pontiac is running great. And this one seems to have a fuel issue. I don't know if the fuel pump is dead or if the carburetor needle is sticking. I'm gonna guess that the carburetor needle is sticking. Easiest way to tell if the fuel pump's dead is to unhook the fuel line right there at the carburetor and see if anything comes out when you're cranking it. But one trick I'm gonna do that just fills the bowl of the carburetor. Got my little squeezy bottle here full of gas, and you just pour it down here. And this fills the bowls of the carburetor. I think this car was actually out of gas. I put about a gallon in it. Might just be the fuel tank. The fuel gauge is not completely accurate. I probably put 2 gallons in it. You can see it's at a quarter of a tank now. This is running on its own. Sucking fuel from the tank. Huh. I guess I got lucky when I parked this that I was nearly out of gas. I didn't even know it. Seems fine. What I do is to get these things primed, I just put my little squeezy bottle full of gas, and then these boards, you just dump it right in here, and that goes into the float bowl of the carburetor. And you got about 30 seconds then of gas to run your engine. But this one is definitely running on its own. How bizarre. I guess the fuel tank is just empty. So it goes to show you, try the simple stuff first. What I did was, let me turn the key off and I'll explain. First thing I knew was that I had spark, because when I put starting fluid in there, it would start up and then it would just die. And then I validated that by putting my little squeezy bottle on there, squeezing some gas into the float bowl, and the car would run about 30 seconds and it would die. We did that a couple times, and I thought that maybe the needle was stuck. So I unhooked the fuel line there, and I cranked the engine, and there was no fuel coming, so it's not a carburetor problem. Then I thought the fuel pump was dead. And I thought, well, the gas gauge looks like it's close to empty. It's not quite reading empty, so why don't I just put a gallon of gas in there, or a couple gallons of gas, and see what happens. I put a couple gallons of gas, filled up my squeezy bottle, primed the carburetor, started up, and as you see, it's running for more than 30 seconds, so it's definitely sucking fuel from the tank. And this fuel inlet's cold, so I guess it was just out of gas. Either that or the fuel pump suddenly came back to life, which would be strange. I think that it was just out of gas, and I got lucky that I didn't run out of gas driving it up here last time. So we'll see. I will try it next time. We'll see what happens, but it seems to be running great. And it's definitely running on its own gas. I'm not feeding it anything. I think we're just out of gas. Fast idle doesn't want to come off yet. Huh. Oh, regardless, I'll be replacing the fuel pump. There we go. And there we go. Both cars all fixed. Thanks again for watching. Drop a comment in the comment section.